Assassin's Creed is nearly 2 whole decades old with a serious amount of games in the series. Now, what comes with a 20-year-old franchise? Tons of story content and lore. Believe me, it's a lot to digest, I know. Especially if you're new to the series or it's been a few years since you jumped back in. This video aims to explain the entire history of the mainline Assassin's Creed games in a nutshell, because I know you're eager to start playing. Now, if it wasn't evident enough already, there's of course going to be a ton of story spoilers, from AC1 all the way to Mirage, so if you don't want to be spoiled, then you probably shouldn't watch this video. This is the most spoilery video I've ever done. If you would like to stay up to date with everything Assassin's Creed, then make sure to subscribe as I cover all of it. So let's begin with a broad timeline so you know exactly when each Assassin's Creed game is set. All the way back in 431 to 422 BC is where we visit ancient Greece as Cassandra or Alexios in AC Odyssey. In 49 to 38 BC we play as Bayek in Ptolemaic Egypt in Origins. Fast forward to 861 AD and we begin the story of Basim in Baghdad in Mirage. In 873, Basim's story continues as a support character to Eivor, a Viking assassin in medieval Norway and England in Valhalla. 318 years later in 1191, we witness the assassins at their height of power through the eyes of Altair in AC1. From the years 1476 to 1524, we embark on a generational epic through Ezio in AC2, Brotherhood Revelations, and short movie Embers. 1715 sparks the beginning of Edward Kenway's jaunt into piracy in Black Flag. 1752 tells a tale of an assassin turned Templar with Shay in AC Rogue. 1754 and 1783 covers Haytham and Connor's journey through colonial America. Next we travel to Paris during the French Revolution in 1789 and play as Arno in Unity. And in 1868, we follow siblings Jacob and Evie Fry in Victorian London in AC Syndicate. Now, weaved throughout these time periods and stories is an overarching storyline set in 2012 and 2020, but we'll get to those later. Now, I'm gonna try not to blow your mind just yet, but there's another overarching storyline in Assassin's Creed about a mysterious advanced civilization called the Isu that lived on Earth in around 75,000 BC. Again, I'll save those for later, but if you want a detailed video on the Isu, you can tap the link at the top right of the screen now. So that's a broad outline of the Assassin's Creed timeline. Now for the in a nutshell description of each game in order of release. And remember to hit the like button if you're enjoying this video so far. The story of Assassin's Creed starts in the year 2012 with a man named Desmond Miles. Desmond comes from a long line of assassins and has been captured by Abstergo, a pharmaceuticals mega corporation. Abstergo are indeed what they say they are, but what isn't known to the public is who controls the corporation. Now, the Templars have been waging war with the Assassins for millennia in one form or another. Both Assassins and Templars possess the noble goal of achieving a one-world peace, but the means that they would achieve that goal are far from in alignment. Assassins believe in free will, the freedom to choose one's path, while Templars believe in domination and control. Sometime after the Third Crusade, both factions were driven underground, which is why the history books say they both died out. Anyway, back to Desmond's capture. Abstergo forces Desmond to enter a machine called the Animus. This machine is able to read its user's DNA, which in the Assassin's Creed universe contains all the memories of their ancestors. The Animus creates a virtual representation of Desmond's ancestor, Altair ibn La'ahad's life for Desmond to relive. Abstergo are looking for the Apple of Eden, a technological relic of a bygone era created by the Isu, an ancient race of superior humanoids that were wiped out by an apocalypse. This Apple of Eden is used to control the minds of others. Abstergo plan to launch this into space on a satellite that would orbit Earth. You know, part of their whole world peace from utter domination approach. In Altair's memories, we see him as a young, brash boy who is stripped of his rank and made to assassinate 9 Templar targets. As he performs this task and learns more about a sinister plot, he becomes a wise, humble man. Long story short, Altair's assassin Grandmaster Al-Mualim betrays the assassin when he is corrupted by the Apple of Eden. Altair defeats his old master, and then Abstergo learn the location of the apple. They pull Desmond out of the Animus and decide he is to be killed. Lucy Stillman, Desmond's captor Warren Viddick's assistant, is actually an undercover assassin and so breaks Desmond out of Abstergo. They arrive at a secret location, where Desmond meets Rebecca Crane and Sean Hastings, also assassins. Desmond once again enters the Animus, this time to relive the memories of another one of his ancestors, Ezio Auditore da Firenze. Desmond and his allies hope he can learn Ezio's skills quickly through the Animus in order to fight back against the Templars. Though, through Ezio's memories, Desmond and the team uncover Ezio's interaction with hidden recordings left behind from a long-dead Isu. They explain that there's a world-ending scenario on the horizon and Desmond is the only one who can stop it. So they head to Monteriggioni and set up camp with the Animus to continue the hunt for more pieces of Eden before Abstergo can get their hands on them. Through more of Ezio's later memories, the group discover the location of another apple under the Colosseum of Rome. Here Desmond finds and activates the apple, but not before Juno takes control of Desmond and forces him to assassinate Lucy. As it turns out, Lucy was a double agent. A triple agent, I guess. Lucy is actually a Templar who would have taken the Apple of Eden right to Abstergo, to the Templars. The Isu knew this before they were wiped out as they could perceive the future, which is why they were able to leave recordings that directly interact with the modern day. And again, for a more in-depth explainer on the Isu, see my Isu Explained video. As soon as Juno's hold on Desmond is released, Desmond and Lucy both fall to the ground. Lucy dead, Desmond's now in a coma. Desmond wakes up on a strange island hosted by a mysterious man. This mysterious man is Subject 16, Abstergo's captor before Desmond. It turns out the only way to keep Desmond from becoming a vegetable was to hook him back up to the Animus and to put his mind in the Animus's virtual simulation test island. Now Desmond's mind is kind of fried and is blending his own personality with Altair and Ezio. So he must go through Ezio and Altair's later memories to separate the three personalities. Only then can Desmond wake up. In reliving Ezio's final adventure, he once again comes into contact with the Isu, this time explaining how exactly the world ended in the past and where he must go next. And so, Desmond finally wakes up and says,
I know what we need to do.
So Desmond and the team go to the Grand Temple in America. Desmond's dad, William Miles, is now with them for support. Desmond is now reliving the memories of his Templar ancestor Hatham Kenway in colonial America, and later Hatham's half-native son Radun Gehedon, or Connor. Connor becomes an assassin and, as was with his ancestors, he comes into contact with the Isu and their pieces of Eden. Desmond eventually relives the memory containing the location of the final Isu artifacts they need to reach the final area of the Grand Temple, which contains the Eye. Oh yeah, before that though, during the game, Desmond goes on multiple missions across America to assassinate Templar targets. I'll leave you to find out who. Anyway, at the final chamber, Juno and Minerva appear once more to Desmond. After a back and forth, Desmond decides to touch the Eye, which activates it to protect the Earth from the incoming solar flare. It also releases the Isu Juno's consciousness into the world. Again, for more info on this, see my Isu Explained video. After touching the Eye, Desmond dies, sacrificing himself to save the world. The Desmond saga comes to an end. Abstergo reached the Grand Temple and recovered Desmond's body. They then use his DNA to access his ancestors' memories. Now, around the same time, Abstergo branch out into video game development and create an Animus console that basically allows players to play a memory like it's a game, rather than actually reliving it. As an Abstergo Entertainment employee, you relive the memories of Desmond's pirate assassin ancestor Edward Kenway, and do a few dubious things around the Abstergo offices for a man named John Standish, who turns out to be a sage. Again, I sound like a broken record, but check my Isu Explained video on what sages are. In 2014, an Abstergo employee named Numskull relives a corrupt memory of Shay Patrick Cormac, an Irish assassin turned Templar. This sends the Abstergo building into a lockdown and Numskull must work to restore the building, by doing office work and going through Shay's memories. In the same year, another Abstergo employee is contacted by the assassins and recruited into their ranks. They must relive the memories of Arnaud Victor Dorian, an assassin during the French Revolution. The initiate is required to sift through Arnaud's memories in order to find the final resting place of a sage that Arnaud came into contact with at some point in his life. 1 year later, in 2015, the same initiate is contracted once again to help familiar faces Sean and Rebecca to hunt down a piece of Eden in London. This is the Shroud of Eden. Jacob and Evie Fry were recorded to have come into contact with it in their life, and so once again you sift through their memories until you discover the moment they find its final location. On the flip side, Sean and Rebecca uncover a plot to bring back the escaped consciousness of Juno. A Templar named Violet manages to escape with the Shroud of Eden after an Assassin Templar altercation and intends to use its healing properties to revive the Isu Juno. Violet and her accomplices have multiple cloned Isu bodies in a vault, and are working with Juno's mind to basically imprint it onto one of the cloned Isu bodies. Now, this storyline would be continued and wrapped up in a comic book called Assassin's Creed Uprising. I'll make this very quick as it's not a mainline game story. Desmond got a girl pregnant some years before he was kidnapped by Abstergo. The mother never told Desmond about his son, so he died with no knowledge of him. Desmond's son was named Elijah Miles. He is similarly kidnapped by Abstergo. Anyway, stuff happens and he defeats Juno and stops her from taking over the world. Oh, and also Elijah is a sage. Again, my Isu Explained video. It's now 2017 and a woman named Layla Hassan is eager to prove her worth to Abstergo. For all she knows, they're just this really cool company that's great to have on her resume. She's sent to Egypt by Abstergo to recover an artifact, but instead finds the bodies of Bayek of Siwa and his badass wife Aya. She uses their DNA to relive their memories in her own animus. Bayek and Aya are the founders of the Assassin Brotherhood, and Layla gets to witness their story of revenge turned liberation. During Layla's time in Egypt, she meets Desmond's dad, William Miles. He urges her to join the Assassins, and entices her by explaining the true nature of Abstergo. So she switches up and defects to the Brotherhood. 1 year later, Layla recovers the Spear of Leonidas, another Isu artifact. She is now leading a team of assassins in a London safe house. Layla relives the memories of a Spartan warrior with a very high Isu DNA count named Cassandra. Layla believes the lost city of Atlantis exists somewhere in the Greek archipelago. So what better way to come across this than to relive Cassandra's memories in ancient Greece and see if she finds the lost city. Layla and the team aren't necessarily looking to reach the city, but find the Isu staff of Hermes within. This staff grants eternal life to anyone who wields it. As usual, sifting through memories of the past eventually leads Layla to her goal. She meets an immortal Cassandra who has been protecting the staff for thousands of years. Cassandra passes the staff to Layla, passing away in the process. The staff partly corrupts Layla and she kills her colleague Victoria. In 2020, Layla receives a mysterious message from an unknown sender. This message proposes a solution to ongoing atmospheric changes to the Earth. These changes are alluded to be a result of how Desmond saved the Earth in 2012. The strange message leads Layla along with Sean and Rebecca to the grave of Eivor Varensdottir, a Viking from the 8th century. Layla extracts Eivor's DNA to use in the Animus and relives her memories through Norway, England, Ireland, France, and Vinland, which would later be rediscovered as America. And that's also Eivor's final resting place. Eivor's memories lead Layla to the Yggdrasil chamber in Norway. This is an ancient supercomputer built by the Isu as a 7th solution to the Great Catastrophe, the apocalypse that ended the Earth in the Isu era. In Eivor's time, she comes into contact with a hidden one named Basim. Eivor, Basim, and fellow Viking Sigurd are the reincarnated Isu beings Odin, Loki, and Tyr. At the Yggdrasil chamber, Basim betrays them based on a wrong they had committed to him in his past life. Eivor and Sigurd manage to trap Basim inside the supercomputer, which keeps his body and mind alive all the way to 2020 when Layla enters the Yggdrasil and meets Basim. It becomes evident that Basim was the original sender of the mysterious message, and so the two work together to put a stop to the anomalies happening on Earth. Although right after, Basim betrays Layla and traps her inside the computer. He re-emerges from the machine, grabbing the staff of Hermes before his body withers. This revitalizes Basim and he becomes immortal so long as he keeps the staff nearby. Going back to Layla, now trapped inside the machine, she ends up meeting a strange apparition known as the Reader. Together, they dedicate their existence to running calculations on all possible future timelines in order to try and prevent more world-destroying disasters, much like the Isu did in their own time. Oh yeah, and I almost forgot. The reader is Desmond. When he sacrificed himself in 2012, his body perished, but his mind became absorbed into the string of networks that make up the remaining interconnected ISU supercomputers. Outside of the Yggdrasil, Basim meets up with Sean and Rebecca. He conveniently leaves out the part about betrayal, but assures them Layla is doing her duty and there's nothing they can do for her now. The three of them return to America, and Basim gets into contact with William Miles. He allows the assassins access to his DNA. This means they can access his memories throughout time. Assassin's Creed Mirage is a standalone story that tells the early life of Basim in ancient Baghdad. We get to see how Basim becomes a hidden one, as well as his journey to the realization that he is more than just a mortal man. He is in fact a reincarnation of the Isu, or the ones who came before. And there you have it, the entire storyline of Assassin's Creed from AC1 to Mirage, in as much of a nutshell as I can feasibly tell it. Of course, there are a few things that have been left out for the sake of time, but anything like that is pretty much negligible for the overall plot, so don't worry, I haven't left anything important out. And that should line you up to be perfectly ready for Assassin's Creed Shadows. If you did enjoy this video, feel free to press the like button to let me know you did, and if you want to stay up to date with everything Assassin's Creed and Assassin's Creed Shadows, feel free to press the subscribe button. I love you guys, may the Father of Understanding guide us. I will see you soon. Goodbye.